happy to be here, happy to open up this and give a opening speech for this summit. And it's actually became almost a tradition for us as a company. I think we're organizing already, it's a fourth summit that our company is doing in a relatively short period of time, just over a year. So yeah, definitely good. Hopefully we'll get all the great content from all of our speakers over here. Just a couple of words about myself. I'm Andrei Kasyanau. I'm CEO and co-founder of Glorium Technologies. And at Glorium, we focus and we specialize on helping the tech startups to achieve their growth and success with their products in the market. And we do it by providing quite a wide range of different services and everything, starting from the product design and ideation to the product development. Actually, software development is our core service, but then also a different range of other services as well. That includes, of course, marketing and growth, as we call it, growth on demand, and project management and help with certification and compliance, project management and QA engineering, DevOps, and a few other things. So then basically, how did we arrive actually to this summit, and what has preceded the summit? Just want to give a couple of words on this topic as well. So, as I mentioned, at Glorium, we do quite a lot of different provide quite a lot of different services, all focused to the tech startups. And our activities recently picked up quite significantly in the area of marketing and growth on demand. And also, so we looked around at the economic situation and everything. As you see, we are now experiencing the economic downturn overall in the market. And in order to survive in this environment, basically you need intensified intensified marketing and growth activities. And we thought that maybe organizing this summit and providing all the valuable content that we can gather from all of our wonderful speakers, that it's going to be exactly on time, and it will help our clients, and not of our clients, all of other companies, all the other tech startups, to by consuming this content, by having this additional information, not only to survive this this downturn, but also to emerge as the winners on the other side. Okay, so obviously there are quite many other growth conferences around, and I enjoy visiting many of them and listening to what people say, and always exchange their opinion and receive and obtain all the new information. But I would say what I noticed quite a lot is that many of those conferences and events are very theoretical, and they're quite many of them are quite far from the practical topics. And what we hope to achieve from our summit is to achieve the down to earth, very practical and interesting and actionable information that we can get from our speakers, and especially all this information to be precisely timed to today's events at the market, so that all of our listeners, all of our participants can get the valuable and actionable advice. Also, many of those conferences are very broad in the nature and trying to focus on different target audience, whereas we as a company, and we're organizing this conference as well, on very narrowly on the tech startups. So this is where all the content is going to be targeted, and this is for whom we are very much planning to provide the actionable and helpful information. So tech startups is the focus, and hopefully you guys, if you're a tech startup, you'll benefit the most from the content that is provided on this summit. So just kind of also to set a stage for the summit, I really want to mention a few things that actually shaping the startup world right now, and those things and events that directly affect the growth and marketing teams at the moment. And I want to mention the external events and an external situation, just to kind of understand where we at right now. So first off, we all remember what happened in last year in 2021, and it is the absolutely record funding rounds that have happened during the last year for the startups. And over the course of 12 months in 2021, investors actually put roughly $330 billion into the startups across all stages. This is according to the Crunchbase data. It's the absolutely record amount. Those are like historical records that we saw last year, and all of this money actually that was poured last year, but this money is being used right now by all of those startups in order to build and to grow their products. Right. So, and never before in history we saw such a massive investment into the new technologies, into the growth, into the marketing, into the sales, and of course, after investors have provided such a massive, investment into the startups, they have very high expectations after deploying those funds. So this is one very important thing. So even though the record investment happened last year, but the expectations and the usage of the funds is going on right now. So during this time, okay. And but as we know, this year the things have changed. And after the record amounts of the and very heated up year 2021, we see a cool down 2022. So inflation is skyrocketing, financial markets are down. So the tech, I believe Nasdaq is down like roughly 30% from the beginning of the year, and startup valuations are down. Funding has slowed down significantly. But what's interesting, funding slowed down for the later stages of the funding. So for the seed, pre-seed, it's roughly not the same, but it didn't drop that significantly. Like in Europe, for example, funding is down almost twice. And VCs actually, they issue dire warnings to its founders to save the money and slow down the growth by prioritizing the cash reserves to survive a potentially prolonged market meltdown. So this is kind of, the situation has basically what I'm trying to say is the situation has turned quite significantly in absolutely different direction. We have to all understand what's happening. But at the same time, very interestingly, VCs don't have absolutely any trouble raising money for their funds at the moment. And according to some reports, the cash reserves for VCs are currently at the historically high levels. This is very interesting. So the spending by VCs, the investment has actually, the deployment of the funds has significantly slowed down, but the money is there. The money is sitting there, not deployed. Everyone is watching what's going to happen. Okay. And at the same time, the global technology spend is projected to grow. The rates of inflation, geopolitical disruption, and talent shortages, they're not expected to slow the IT investments. Worldwide IT spending is projected to total 4.4 trillion in 2022, an increase of 4% from 2021. That's according to Gartner. And software spending is expected to grow 9.8% to 675 billion in 2022. And IT services is forecast to grow by almost 7% to reach 1.3 trillion. And what's more, the numbers for 2023 are expected to be even higher. So this is also very interesting information. So all of this points out that there is indeed a room for doing business for the tech startups. There is a room for the growth. It's definitely not the time to, looking at this economic downturn and having your mind kind of blowing or panicking and saying, "Oh, I don't know, we're all gonna die." No, we're not. We're not gonna die. There is a room to grow. You just need to be there. There is a big competition for this money, for the markets, but there is room to grow. Okay. And another point that I want to mention in the external market conditions is that finally we have easing conditions with the labor shortages. And this labor shortage was especially felt in the tech industry, and finding the top talent was absolutely a nightmare. It still remains one of the biggest problems faced by the tech startups, but overall the conditions have improved. What it means, if you're a growth team, your marketing team, it means for your tech startup, you finally can take a little bit of a breather and maybe finally can find your for the money that you have, find the good candidates and the good skill set that you weren't able to obtain before. That's very important. So to sum up, the startups right now find themselves in the market where they get squeezed between the investors with very high expectations, increased business and management pressure to demonstrate the efficiency and output and results, and worsening market conditions, but still money being potentially available, not money, there is with still room to grow for the market, and for the VC money still being potentially available to those who will show that they're the best and they deserve them. So I wouldn't say that it's definitely not as favorable conditions as it was last year, but it's not a disaster. It does require much more dedication from you, much more work, and kind of proper action plan. But it's right now, I would say it's becoming a challenge to navigate this environment. Okay. So now moving on to the topic of what to expect from this summit. So what I want and what we wanted to show and to achieve by this summit is to provide the information that startup players really need without any generic topics, no high-level issues. All of our speakers are very, very practical people. They are the people who currently are there in the trenches that manage themselves or perform the growth and marketing activities by themselves, and can give you the advice directly from those trenches, from the practical information that they possess. Okay. And what we also want to see and we expect to see is the focus on the challenges that are being relevant to the startup growth at this very moment of time. So not something that was kind of effective and for the timing of the past year, but like really something that can be actionable at this specific moment of time that we observe according to the conditions that I have described earlier. So, but if we talk about the growth and the topics that our speakers are about to touch upon, there are quite many of them. I urge you to take a look at the agenda, take a look at the speakers, who is going to present what, and find the topics that you will like the most. But I can say that the topic is, the list is very broad, and they focus on the mindset and strategy, on organic and non-organic growth, on the experimentation, on the use of the intent data, on building a revenue versus building a company's strategic value on the tools and the tech stack to use for your growth, on the analytics and KPIs, how it can help you with achieving your results. So once again, you can take a look at the agenda, take a look at the schedule, figure out what is most interesting for you, and tune in and listen to our speakers. And I just want to also remind that all of our summits that are organized by our company, they are absolutely free, free for everyone to participate. We wanted to remove, and we still do want to remove, the commercial aspect from the organization of our events. Nobody has paid any money in order to participate or speak on this during this summit, and hopefully this is going to help us to be absolutely honest on all fronts and provide the proper information, very actionable, down to earth and practical information for our listeners and for our participants. Okay, so so I really I hope we're all gonna enjoy listening to our speakers sharing their valuable experience, make detailed and maybe precise outlook into the future, as well as explain all of the related things to the growth and marketing. And I'm really excited to hear what they have prepared. Okay, so let's begin, and over to you.
Thank you, Andrei. That was an excellent, wonderful introduction and very well said. And just to throw in my 2 cents, I think much like warfare, the success of startups often depends on strategy and tactics. So strategy being the idea, tactics being the way to do it. So where's the starting point of that? It would be the landscape, so to say, whether, literally in an actual war or figuratively as in business, especially here in Web3 tech. So some of the things in the landscape we have to keep in mind: inflation, hyperinflation rather, as you mentioned, the needs and expectations of investors, venture capital firms, social media, presence. All these things are absolute, you could say, ingredients. And even though they're obstacles, but these obstacles are ultimately part of the solution to create kind of the overall successful startup company that's going to create a genuine product or service that is going to be enduring, lasting, and really provide great benefit, to a lot of people.